Welcome to the SMRC Final Fling, race number 1 for the Scottish Sports and Saloon Car Championship, the SMRC last race meeting of the year. And look at this, terrible weather conditions we have here. It's not been good up and down the country for quite some time now, and the race will be started behind the safety car for safety reasons. Rather than having everybody on a grid in case there's a stalled car with a amount of spray, we'll start everybody rolling up towards the red lights, and then we will be racing down towards Duffy's Dip. And what do we have? Well, we have got a good field of cars, which is the biggest thing. We've got 15 cars in total, and for the end of the year we will take that one for the ECU Master Scottish Sports and Saloon Car Championship. Now, I have a little look at my Edinburgh Watch timing company smart timing screen. I can see that we have got a race distance of 12 laps, just taking that there wasn't going to be a little change to the race distance. And look at that, the thing with these cars, the speed they do, the amount of water that they will throw up into the air from some of the ground effects cars, as we can see from the nemesis of Ron Cumming there, it will put up a huge amount of spray, as will Paul Bryden, Andrew Morrison, and even Greg MacArthur in the Radical. Scott Toland, well, the trusty old workhorse of the Escort Cosworth. Let's see how it gets on with these wet conditions here today at Knockhill. Possibly a bit better for it, because it's not going to be going through the intense heat and pressure that it would do if it was a dry race. And he's holding off the Radical of Greg MacArthur just now very well. The orange Escort Cosworth of Scott Toland, a long-time supporter. Himself and Alistair McMillan put together some great cars, and they have always had good results and good fun here. Oh, Bryden locks up into the hairpin, getting caught out just a little bit on some water on the way in. Number 79, Paul Bryden, in his Solution F BMW M3 just locks up. Now, it says BMW M3, it's a silhouette of a BMW M3, it looks like it, but it's got a V6 Nissan engine, which is mid-engine, sits right behind Paul. And if you ever get a chance to go and have a look at that car, it is very sexy as far as race cars go. I'll leave that there just now, and we'll concentrate on the race. I'm talking about the car, not the driver. But we go on board with Greg MacArthur. Look at this, 2 orange cars. You don't see many of them. And the Radical all over the back of the Escort Cosworth. And Greg MacArthur, he'll be desperate to get past, because he'll be getting not the greatest visibility from the back of Scott Toland's Escort Cosworth. And not just the spray, the amount of fuel that gets put out the exhaust on the overrun for the Escort Cosworth will make that not the nicest place to be right now. And he almost disappears into a ball of spray as they head towards the hairpin. Car number 23, Conrad Murray, the Ford Focus, the ex-Tom Chilton car. Now that is in trouble as he leaves the hairpin. Conrad, looks like he's going to park that down the tri-oval. Yes, he is now. And that's something we don't see happening very often. Conrad Murray, Ford Focus, entered as a guest this weekend, but not to be, as we go on board in towards McIntyre's. That was Ron Cumming, slithering past Hazel Patterson in Hazel's BMW. And Hazel just trying to tippy-toe around the circuit just now. And Paul Bryden getting a little bit held up there by Hazel. And here comes Andrew Morrison. He's managed to close the gap quite considerably there, as they both go flashing past Hazel. I think she's maybe struggling for visibility, to tell you the truth. The wipers are going like mad, but the windscreen looks very steamed up. And that's one thing you've got to watch in your saloon car. Yes, it's bad enough when you get a visor full of it, but in a race car, inside, if your windscreen starts to steam up, well, you're going to be in all sorts of trouble. Race leader, car number 9, Ron Cumming, in the Nemesis kit car, goes up the main straight as we go back on board with Greg MacArthur. Just listen to this. Decent traction out the hairpin there. I was wanting to see if there was any wheel spin. But Greg being quite delicate on the throttle, which is probably for the best. Oh, and retiring into the pit lane. That's not good. That looks like, well, is it retirement? Is it Andy Patterson? Or what's wrong with the BMW here? In comes Andy. And we'll need to see if he can rejoin. He's just getting something checked out. And still, Greg MacArthur behind that orange Escort Cosworth of Scott Toland, sorry, as they come through and up the chicane up towards Clark Corner. They both slide past. I think that was Mikey Buchan in a new livery on that Focus as he goes through. Will Robson dashes through as well. And a very quiet, lonely race for Will Robson, which is quite unusual. He won't be liking that too much. But really, you've got to just try and survive these conditions, because the amount of standing water, and it's still raining quite heavily as well, and the spray. It's not the warmest day here. It's I'm doing a good job of selling it to you if you're coming along as a spectator. But it's been raining all over the country. It's nationwide. It's one of these things we're just having to put up with. Towards the end of the year, we usually have a wet race meeting. We've been pretty lucky all year. But as we see somebody else having a bit of a moment coming through. Look at that. Visibility. One side of the windscreen a little bit clear. And Andy Patterson in all sorts of issues here with keeping his windscreen clear. He effectively can't see where he's going. And when you can't see where you're going, it doesn't give you much in the way of confidence to go as fast as you can. We pick up Ron coming in towards the hairpin, and a cracking job for Ron Cumming in that car. Simon Smale there in the Ford Focus, entered as a guest as well, and Simon with the kind of martini livery on that Cytec Focus. Again, another man who looks like he's struggling a little bit with visibility there. In towards Duffy's Dip underneath the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge they can. Looking back, there's Tolan still ahead of Greg MacArthur. We haven't seen hide nor hair of the man who has a chance of winning the championship today. That's car number 13, Keith Cowie. Keith can and looks like he is in the driving seat for the championship because Duncan Steele is not here this weekend, and he has been the form man this year in the championship for the ECU Master Scottish Sports and Saloon Car Championship. And well, it's all going to change this weekend, that's for sure, as we go on board with Greg MacArthur again as he comes through Clark Corner, heads towards Happen. And there on form, or on cue, is Keith Cowie in that blue and orange Seat coming through the chicane there. The Seat Leon Super Copa car goes through as we see Ron Cumming. Well, we saw him having a bit of a moment leaving the hairpin there, and gotta say, he's not getting away from Paul Bryden. Paul, obviously happy with that car, with how it handles in the wet. Is apart from that little issue we saw at the hairpin, Paul is very much with Ron Cumming as Ron goes past Hazel Patterson. Hazel looks in the mirror. Yeah, she lets Paul Bryden go through. Look at the speed of Paul Bryden going through there. Just more mechanical grip and more car grip, aero grip, call it whatever you want. But yeah, Duncan Steele in the B3 class was looking very good for an overall championship win, but he's not here this weekend. He will still take his B3 championship. However, Will Robson and Keith Cowie both have a chance of taking the overall championship. It's going to be between those two guys, Keith Cowie in car number 13 and Will Robson in 89, the Focus and the Seat respectively. Up the main straight we go though. Ron Cumming still under quite a bit of pressure from that man in second place, Paul Bryden. Bryden with the headlights on, the wipers ablaze, is coming as we go on board. No! Round goes Greg MacArthur in the Radical. One of those, we would say, off-throttle spins as he goes in towards the hairpin. Horrible, horrible feeling that. You try and catch it, but it just keeps rotating the rear of the car round. And what does that do? It releases all pressure from Scott Toland in that Escort Cosworth, and well, he'll be thankful of that because he was under huge pressure as we go back on board and we see somebody going past. I believe that was Ron Cumming and Paul Bryden. But Andy in all sorts of trouble here, Andy Patterson, with visibility. He's needing to get that fixed for race number 2. The driver's side looks not too bad, but look at what we're looking through his onboard camera. We see absolutely nothing. As into the hairpin comes Ron Cumming. He's just got to tippy-toe his way around here. Bryden is very much coming in. Off goes Simon Smale. Simon Smale straight on at Butchers, and you will not be getting up that hill, my young man. No, you will not. He will do... You can see the marks from a previous mini race there. That was Des Wheatley. As Stuart Robb comes into TVR Tuscan with Keith Cowie behind him. Into the hairpin for the Radical of Greg MacArthur. On the brakes, down the gears. He'll be ruining that little spin he had a lap ago. Makes no error this time, but he has got Will Robson all over the back of him now as they go up the main straight. Underneath the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge. Clicking off yet another wet, soggy lap here at Knockhill, and Bryden looks like he means business. Bryden is all over the back of that Nemesis kit car, and can we see these guys having a proper fight towards the end? Ron Cumming accelerates away towards the hairpin, but Paul Bryden should catch up on the brakes if he makes a corner. Look at that. The BMW right up on the anchors, catches up as they go up the main straight now. Ron has not got anything left in the tank by the looks of things here. He's having to keep this one on it as much as he can. Bryden has pulled away handsomely from Andrew Morrison, and still Greg MacArthur under increasing pressure. as they go through Clark Corner. And also Simon Smale did get going from that moment he had at Butchers. Mark Dawson in the other seat goes through the chicane. We've not seen much of Mark today, and he's about to go a lap down to these two guys, and it looks like Ron Cummings just struggling for grip at the rear of the car. It seems to want to light up those rear tyres and make the thing go sideways in the exit of quite a few of the corners. You see again they're coming through Clark's, and that's allowing Paul Bryden to now think about it. The thing, Paul Bryden, he's in the sprays right up behind that car, and Ron Cummings' car really does throw a lot of spray up in the air, lifts it out the track with that Formula-esque, whoa, shall we say, aerodynamics underneath the car. And well, Paul Bryden looked like he went in a bit too hot there, and Will Robson was very much there. Not Will Robson, Mark Dawson was very much there. As Andy Patterson gets out the way of Greg MacArthur. Greg, is he? Oh, he's not lifting that visor, is he? That's a disaster when you're starting to have to lift the visor because it's steaming up. As soon as you do that, you'll get more water on the inside, and that is it. You know you are then in trouble towards the end of the race. So we go back on board with Hazel Patterson now. Her visibility a little bit better than her dad's. In fact, a lot better. Round she goes though. Oh, off goes Hazel Patterson into the gravel at Butchers. And that was a pretty slow speed spin, but she's managed to get that into the gravel. And will that car move from there or not? Because the marshals, I wouldn't imagine, would go down and try and push that. It's not in a great place for those guys to be going trackside. We'll need to see what happens here. We're late enough into the race now that I don't think the safety car will be deployed. We'll need to keep our eye on the flag points as up the main straight we go. Ron Cumming leads the way from Paul Bryden as they go over the crest of the hill into Duffish. You can see the plumes of spray those two cars kick up, and the marshals are thinking about having a go at this. I think Hazel's given up, to tell you the truth though. Handbrake on, car's out of gear, engine sounds like it stopped running when we were on board there for a minute as the leaders all come through the shot. Red flags in the background, that's it, that will be a race declared. The red flag comes out for a safety issue on track there, and Ron Cumming will take the victory in car number 9 from number 79 Paul Bryden, and 54 Andrew Morrison will round out the podium. The A3 win goes to Ron Cumming from Paul Bryden. Andrew Morrison will win Class A2, and Scott Toland takes the A1 honours. Greg MacArthur in A3 third overall, comes home in 5th place. And Will Robson wins B1, and Keith Cowie, well, he doesn't win A2 class, he gets 2nd place points, but it looks like it could be enough as we go in towards the second race. It's going to be so tight between Keith Cowie and Will Robson for the ECU Masters Scottish Saloon and Sports Car Championship.
So Andrew, you did a bit of weight saving here.
I certainly did. I saw the bonnet coming loose. I pulled in the pits. The boys ripped it off. We obviously lost a bonnet pin. And I was like, right, get back out and catch Hazel, because she'll be leading the class now. And yeah, really slippy out there. A few big moments, but kept it on the island. And unfortunately, Hazel put it in the gravel trap and handed me the trophy. So thanks, honey.
Can't complain there then. But you said the conditions are tricky out there. Is it to do with spray or lack of grip?
It's lack of grip, standing water. These tyres just don't like it, and just you press the brakes, it squirrels about. You try and accelerate, tries to go sideways. So yeah, it's tiptoe driving, but fun. It's fun. Keeps the talent going.
I'll let you go and get your bonnet back on for a race.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Well done, Will. Good race there, but a lot of spray and tricky conditions.
It was really wet out there, a lot of standing water. Quite impressed with the car, really. It handled it well. I got a really good wet setup on it for this weekend, so I'm quite happy with the car.
I noticed there that you're missing a spoiler. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I just have it on for testing usually, because I'm in a lower class. I'm in B, so I'm not allowed any aero this year. I believe there's regulation changes for next year. So if I go up to A class next year, then I can put on the big spoiler.
And does that make a difference to the handling of the car?
Around Knockhill, it's negligible, the speeds I'm doing. I have noticed the car is really good in the wet with the spoiler on, but in the dry, it didn't really make much difference. Down at Croft, yeah, it makes a big difference at Croft, the long, faster sweeping bends.
Shame you couldn't have it on today, it would suit the wet weather.
Aye, it would.
I'll let you get on and get dry for race day.
No bother, thank you.
Thank you.
Race number 2 for the Sports and Saloon Car Championship, and as you can see, tricky conditions, and I've said that all day about every single race meeting. And these guys with the most powerful cars on track: Ron Cumming, Paul Bryden, Andrew Morrison, Scott Tolan, Greg MacArthur, Will Robson, Keith Cowie, who's going for the championship. Can Keith Cowie get the championship? It's all about this race for him. Duncan Steele not here this weekend, so Keith Cowie could waltz away with the championship in his back pocket, and he will be delighted about that if he can. The Scottish Sports and Saloon Car Championship with ECU Master. On track, tricky conditions as we've said. Andrew Morrison, another man showing at the front in his lovely TCR spec C8 Super Copa. But lots of guys struggling for visibility out there, not just with their open top cars, but it was also the people who actually had saloon cars. A lot of cars take the heaters out and they mist up the windscreens. Once you lose visibility from the windscreen, you're effectively done, because you're strapped into the car so well you cannot reach that windscreen. We've seen David Hunter in the Legends races carry a little cloth with him and give his visor a wipe, but you can't do that. You cannot reach a windscreen. So it's very, very tricky conditions inside and outside the cars. Ron Cumming, Paul Bryden, Scott Toland, Andrew Morrison and Stuart Robb were the guys who eventually took the top 5 positions on the day, but it was all about Keith Cowie. Keith Cowie did manage to come home in 7th place, just behind Will Robson and ahead of Mark Dawson, and that gave him the championship for 2019. A delighted Keith Cowie was the Scottish Saloons and Sports Car Champion with ECU Master, and he will be absolutely delighted with that one, taking that away into the winter. As the rest of the runners and riders come through the checkered flag zone, let's hand down to the lovely Fiona Wallace, who's down there in her wellies for some post-race interviews to find out all the reactions from the guys on track of what they thought of Knockhill today and what they thought of their season throughout the year.
So Ron, final race of the year and you finished it off with a win. You must be pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, pleased. I'm obviously pleased. It was quite an interesting weekend. The rain always makes it exciting. It's a pity we can't get more spectators through that gate, but I think we did a fairly good show for them.
I think everyone's gone home because of the rain today.
Well, I would say they did, but I mean, the guys here, the competitors, you've got to take off your hat to them for turning out in conditions like they were earlier on today, and turning out the performances they were doing. I think they were great, and I think I've really enjoyed my season, and looking forward to next year.
We'll see you back then, will we?
I think so, yeah.
See you next year. Another class win, but just missing out on that overall champion.
I think I just missed it by a few points. It's one of those things. I've had 2 in a row now, so I had to give it to someone else.
That would just be unfair if you got another one.
I'd have thought so too. I can't have my name 3 times on the trophy. But no, I tried. Lack of entries this year in my class just kind of scuppered me for points a few times, so no fault of my own. I was here every meeting, but these things happen.
How's your season been overall?
It's been all right. It's been quiet in class, but overall, I mean, the car's been good to me. Had a couple of teething problems, but usually always finishes. But I've had a really good season. It's 5 good seasons I've had, so.
Will we see you back next year?
I hope so. I don't know. The jury's out just now because the car might have a new owner, but I'm now in 2 minds about what I'm doing. Quite like to keep it, so I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, hopefully we do see you back.
Yeah, I'd like to come back and race, but I just don't know what end.
Well, thanks very much, and well done on this season.
Thank you.
Cheers. Scott, that was a good clean race here that you had with Andrew Morrison.
Aye, it was really good. We've made a bit of a mistake in the last lap and let him by, then managed just to catch him again into the hairpin. I couldn't believe it. So that's the first or the highest I've finished in 4 years. I couldn't believe it. 3rd for the full thing, then let him pass in the last lap. I'm like, no.
Were you kicking yourself?
Aye, managed to catch him into the hairpin. I just couldn't believe it. It was a good race, but it was a great race.
And how did you find these wet conditions?
Not so bad, because our car's 4-wheel drive, so kind of lack a wee bit of power in the dry, but in the wet it comes into its own. Aye.
And will you be back next year?
Aye, I'll be back at next year. And just the same, no doing anything to the car over the winter, I hope no. So we've just put a new engine in it for this race. It's the first that's ran. So it'll just be the exact same for next year and hopefully get a bit more success with it next year.
Well, I'll let you go and celebrate after having a good season.
Ideal. Thanks.
Thank you. See you later. So that's the Sports and Saloons finished for the year. We have our champion and we'll see you again in 2020.